And welcome back to the Splatoon 2 North American Open September 2020. Jordan Kent alongside Ashley Esqueda and Charles Nine Whitehead. We already have one team that has punched their ticket to grand finals, and that is FT Win. Let's take a look at the rules here before we take one more glance at the bracket here. We've got our top four teams out of nearly 350 teams competing in a single elimination top four. It'll be best of five in our semifinals rounds. We've got some predetermined maps and stages, so you don't have to worry about hitting anything into your GPS coordinates here. After that, we get to our grand finals, best of seven. Yeah, who doesn't love more Splatoon inking action here? We'll give you a couple more matches there. At the end of it, we'll have a victorious team where all four members will get a sweet prize package that includes a digital download for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Mario Tennis Aces, and the ARMS game. Let's check out that bracket here. FT Win, as we mentioned before, the class of North American competitive Splatoon play, 3-0 sweep against Sayonara. Who will face off against FT Win? Well, that'll be the winner Starburst and Supernova, who have really got some fresh faces and some reshuffling of the deck, as our man Nine talked about. And speaking of Nine, we left all of our viewers here with a bit of a cliffhanger talking about when we get to Splat Zones, Humpback Pump Track coming up here in our first matchup between Starburst and Supernova. The role of a backliner on this map, because it's a small map. Many people might think, let me get out one of those more short-range weapons, but a backliner can really change the tide of how things happen in this particular map and mode.
They can, and a lot of it comes down to patience. We saw earlier that Biscuit was able to paint the map very, very well with that custom Explasher. Ice here for Starburst, maybe the only true backline main in this tournament, has really every weapon that you can imagine on the back line in his stable. So I really want to see if he's going to be the type of backliner who simply sits back and paints the zone, or if he opts to move up. I think that answer is going to depend on what his team is doing, because as a backliner, you have to move with the team and respond to what they're doing.
As we get set for action here, Ashley, we've seen a couple approaches in Splat Zone. Some teams rush out there and try to grab the zone like it's a TV that's 50% off on Black Friday. Others don't mind letting the other team go ahead and take the zone and recalibrate things here. What are you seeing has worked really well so far in our first couple of matches?
I think generally at the higher levels of play, we often see building up specials before taking that splat zone. So we see a lot of ink go down. If you happen to take the splat zone, great. Countdown timer begins. But a lot of times you're going to see these teams really lay the groundwork and build a foundation that's going to allow them to keep that splat zone, as opposed to just throwing your ink in there, taking it, and then all of a sudden, oh no, we're surrounded by enemy ink, and now we're going to lose it, and we've been wiped. So you're going to see a lot of preparation to take the splat zone first.
And Nine, how do teams really like to secure the zone and then advance? And what I mean is, some teams will sometimes really extend beyond that zone, but on a smaller map like this, is that something you can really do, or do you need to always make sure you're nearby it on Humpback Pump Track?
See, that's a very tricky question, and I think a lot of it is determined by how you took the zone. Ashley brought up a great point. These teams love to build up their specials to go in, and it's mostly because you want to take 2 or 3 members of the enemy to down, or 4 if you're really good, but you can't move up until you are certain that you have solid control of not only the zone, but in front of the zone. If you do that, it is yours for the taking to move up.
So we have Supernova facing off against Starburst here. Supernova in the purple ink, Starburst, that lemon flavor in the yellow, and both teams advancing to the middle. No hesitation whatsoever, and that's going to be an early claim by Supernova. And Nine, interesting selections here on the loadout. What do you like from what you see?
Well, we're already seeing another custom Explasher here. Kara's going to be playing that. You see all the way pushed back, but Ice is using the backliner with the Booyah Bomb here, the heavy remix, and it would not surprise me if he stays right here the entire time. Stay behind zone, paint it, because one bomb is enough to take away all of those that were thrown at the zone.
3 specials ready to go for Supernova. They haven't unleashed them quite yet. You see a 4-3 advantage on the map for Starburst, but Ashley, you mentioned Supernova. They're being very patient with these specials at the moment.
They're being very patient. They're taking their time. They're making sure, they're making sure that that ground is covered. And now they've taken away control. So they've got a penalty going, which is exactly what you want to do in this situation.
Supernova claiming the zone, and now they will move forward, all 4 of them. 4-3 advantage on the map, just under 4 minutes. Plenty of time to get your splatting action on here. See Jared at the top of your screen, though, getting a critical splat, moving in and avoiding a couple of burst bombs to stay alive. So Starburst doing a fine job defensively, 9, to sort of wiggle through the offensive attack of Supernova.
Yeah, it was fantastically done there, finding where the members have been maybe just a little bit too far apart. We talk so often about really working together with your team and staying within arm's reach. That gap gets smaller and smaller when you play at this level.
And we see Zero here, 9, and this is one of those players that has made a couple of switcheroos on the team. Zero with a double splat to mow down a couple of members of Starburst, but Zero, one of those names that could give Supernova a chance at taking the crown.
Yeah, a huge name in the Splatoon scene here. The only North American player to reach 3,000 XP in solo queue. A fantastic accomplishment, but he has been hunting for that title for a really long time. So many second places, you know he wants this today.
Booyah Bomb able to claim the zone for Starburst, laying on a 37-second penalty. Go ahead and see the principle for that one. Starburst trying to build upon this lead here, Ashley. They've got 4-4 on the map, neither team with a special, so it seems like it'll come down to technical play. You're Starburst. What do you want to try and do here to keep Supernova out of this zone?
Well, exactly what they just did, which is they now have built up 4 specials. So unfortunately, 2 of them have been splatted. So that's so key right there. That's a key moment to me. I think if you've got your special, obviously you've got to do everything in your power to keep from being taken out. And they just weren't able to capitalize on all of those specials being ready.
Jared retreats back to spawn, and that'll go ahead and give Supernova plenty of real estate to work with at this point. Just 7 seconds left in the penalty. Suction bomb launcher coming out from Zero, really keeping Starburst at bay, and this seems to be a turning point here, 9. But double Booyah Bomb, still not enough, and that is a huge defensive effort by Supernova.
And what a great call there to not only not get the zone taken away, it didn't even get stalled there. They got every single point they could out of that with the lead. What a great response right there, and a great adjustment to what the opponent was doing.
Just a terrific match out of the gate here between Starburst and Supernova. Real back and forth battles we mentioned. $1:30 left on the clock. Starburst, 10 seconds left in the penalty. They're only 2 points away from reclaiming the lead from Supernova. Supernova, though, with 3 specials sitting on them and losing the lead to Starburst, though. So maybe Supernova being a little too patient in this situation. And now it's Starburst that's doing a good job, Ashley, of handling the onslaught. But here comes Supernova once again.
I mean, Starburst, that was so close there for a second. I thought maybe they were going to take it, but no. That Supernova went and took it back, applied that penalty, and now both teams really have to do a lot of work to be able to clear that penalty out.
Starburst holding strong here, 9, and that was very impressive to not lose a lot of inklings and players here when all those specials were coming. Now it's just a matter of playing a little bit of defense. You've got 43 seconds left. Far from over, though.
Far from over. Look at how long Ice is sitting on this. He's going to sit on this until the very end because Booyah Bomb eats other bombs. There's not going to be any bombs that can get on zone. One last-ditch effort. Zero running into the zone, but another Booyah Bomb going to be enough to stall, and that will be it. Again, just a crazy scramble situation, and the way that Starburst was able to maneuver around there, knowing exactly how much time they needed. What a fantastic game 1 to start this series.
It really was. And Ashley, we saw a moment there when Starburst was down 2 points. They were chewing away at their penalty. And Supernova, they were sitting on 3 specials, but chose to delay those specials until they lost the lead. To me, that really seemed like a turning point in this match.
Yeah, I mean, it seems obvious, but you know, the hardest part of coordinating your specials is when you are respawning. You can't coordinate anything. You lose everything. You have that rollback on your special gauge, and you know it makes it tough. And it's just maybe they were waiting for that 4th special. Maybe they were trying to coordinate positioning, but it just didn't. It couldn't quite convert it, and that's so unfortunate. Also, I don't think I've ever, just as a side note, I don't think I've ever seen somebody hold a Booyah Bomb that long.
We saw that from Ice towards the end, and 9, I believe it was Ice also that was holding down the zone when we saw the double Booyah Bombs come out from Starburst. And it was just one of those examples in this match where both teams really did a fine job of backing up and retreating when they needed to. And listen, cars have the accelerator and the brake pedal. You got to use them both at the right time.
You do, and that's one of the reasons why people enjoy Splat Zones. It is by far the most explored mode in this entire game. People play it all over their entire tournaments of just that, and it's because there is that dynamism of going forward, but then also knowing how to move back, how to play patiently, how to identify specials and how close you are, and it is one of the reasons why, once again, we see a team come out on top by being able to master those concepts.
So now we'll get set for another matchup here. We've got some Rainmaker taking place on the Reef here. And last time we saw, Ashley, it was really, you can't make that mistake late in the game. Even though you have the lead, you really can't rest until you see both cats on screen, letting everybody know who won the match. And when you look at the Reef, we mentioned the bridge, very important, but you look at the higher ground you can get near your spawn and how you really have to use that to your best defensive capabilities.
Yeah, it gets more and more difficult as your opponent gets closer and closer to that goal because you've got the high ground. So I think this map in particular might be really good for Ice. I think he's going to be a key player here. With all of that range, it's going to come in very, very handy. And let's see if he can really kind of convert that into a wall of defense for his team.
Starburst taking the first game. They have a 1-0 lead in this semifinal. Tower control on the Reef, 4:30 into this one. Plenty of specials on the map at this point, and now we see the use of Ice here with a bit of a different weapon choice here, Nine.
Yep, he is going with a weapon. The main weapon is Stingray here, and it also happens to be attached to a special that is the custom Jet Squelcher here. This weapon builds up Stingray faster than any other in the game. And again, it wouldn't surprise me if Ice is going to be content to sit back on the defensive side and use the Stingray when necessary.
Supernova, the first team to grab the Rainmaker. They take an teensy-weensy lead, just 9 points into this one, 91-0 at this point. 1-0 lead, as we mentioned, for Starburst. 4-3 on the map for Starburst. But here they come with their first initial push of this game here. Starburst being very patient, and we see that from high-level play, Ashley. The patience with the Rainmaker to make sure that you are surrounded by your other bodyguards if you make your advance.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, in these really high-end ranked modes, I mean, you're going to be very methodical, very cautious about when to push, when to pull back. Like you said earlier, it's about putting your foot on the gas and then applying the brake when needed.
Jared getting splatted, but Starburst doing all the work they needed to do potentially. 27-91. That'll leave Supernova a lot of homework here to try and catch up. We see Juan at this point applying a little bit of pressure. An escape for Starburst back to spawn to get out of harm's way. Here comes Supernova trying to advance, but there's that Stingray 9, and no matter where you're at, it will find you.
It will, and you cannot stress enough how even if it doesn't get the Rainmaker, the slowdown that happens there when you are stuck with that Stingray and forced to maneuver and try to dodge, it knocks everything out of whack. Splatoon is a game of timing. If you can change that, it becomes that much more difficult to make any progress.
Yeah, that Stingray will find you like a parent after curfew. 4-3 on the map, Starburst with the advantage. You got one special ready to go for Supernova. They are still trailing by a mighty margin as we get under the 2:30 mark left in this one. Rainmaker on top of the bridge. Anthony has no thoughts about playing passive, wants to advance here, waiting for a little bit of a lead blocker, and Jared moves aside, avoids a couple of bombs. Anthony trying to get up the ramp, but gets denied by Supernova. And here's a chance here, 9. 4-2, Supernova with a 2 Inkling advantage.
They've got a pretty good chance, but something we haven't really talked about, they're using 2 MZAP 85s, which means they're running double ink armor. They are trying to equip their teammates with the support necessary to move in. And you see right there, it almost worked. If Zero had gotten to that Stingray, they might have gotten it in time, but what a resilient effort to try to make that push. And Ice holding the Stingray, if that had gone off any earlier, they might have lost the lead.
Terrific display of defensive proficiency, and Starburst actually doing all that they need to do, rallying everybody up at that last moment, not giving up that critical mistake that loses you the lead late in the match.
Indeed, but Zero's back here. Look at this. He snuck up from behind. He snuck up from behind.
Zero putting in work. You saw the double splat and the assist. So Zero trying to keep Supernova into this one. Supernova has a chance to capture the lead, but no, that uninkable ramp has proved to be too much to overcome for Supernova twice again. And Starburst holding on tight. Supernova retreating. They're going to recalibrate, look at their notes, and try and make another push here. And 9, your mouth is agape as you look at the fact that Supernova almost had a chance there.
They did. Zero did so much there, going for that huge flank. That is not easy to do at this level, identify when the time for the flank is. But I think that they got just a little bit too overeager to push that up and get those points. I think there was a chance to jump somebody else in and to move up, but in the split second, it's so hard to make that call.
Do you think they were trying to beat the respawn timer? It feels like that was what was happening there. They thought maybe they could beat it and just edge out that 27 remaining. They thought maybe they could get to 26.
And that's why it's such a difficult call, right? In the heat of the moment, who can say for certain? We have the hindsight is 2020, but man, what incredible defense again.
Gran able to get the one-on-one splat, trying to make their way around. You see the Rainmaker up for grabs in the middle. Starburst with a 5-point lead, 10 seconds left though. Both teams going to try and scramble here. Supernova had couple of pushes. They've got 4 players on the map. 4-4, but there comes the Stingray, ending the match, and Starburst will take a 2-0 lead. And 9, you mentioned it. That was most likely the MVP weapon in this one, really being the backbone of the Starburst defense against Supernova.
Yeah, I mean, we've called it the GG Ray for many years for that exact reason. You can take a look right there. 5 Stingrays from Ice, and every single one of them came out in response to the opponent. If we look back to the World Championship, guys, it was Ice's Stingrays there too that seemed to come out every time that they were needed. He understands the flow of the game. He understands when it is most effective to use it. And because of that, even though there was tremendous pressure that came out of Supernova, they held true.
Yeah, Ashley, bend, don't break. We saw Supernova try to get up that ramp twice, but Starburst doing just enough in both of those occasions to hang on to their lead and close out this second game.
Yeah, you just saw Ice standing up on the goal, right? On his own goal. Just like, no, no, thank you. We're just gonna, you won't be walking up that ramp today. Not while I'm standing here. But yeah, I think, gosh, I think they just tried really hard to beat that respawn timer after Zero made that clear. He did that flank. He knew he had to take out Ice, right? So he knew he had to take out that backliner. He did it, and it wasn't quite enough. The timing wasn't quite there.
And 9, we talk about not making mistakes defensively, but on offense, when you have your push, you have to be so careful, so precise in a situation like that, because when you have an obstacle like the ramp that slows you down so much, that eats up precious seconds of your advance.
It does. And to make matters worse, they don't really have a lot of great specials for mitigating that. Of course, we've seen what Stingray can do on defense. On offense, that can clear from no matter where you are. We've seen what Inkjets were able to do on that map. Both Bagel and Biscuit were able to start huge pushes with it as well. They had double Ink Armor, a Bomb Rush, and a Baller. None of those are going to make great progress if the opponent set past that ramp.
Yeah, it'll be curious to see what changes they make, because we have Tower Control and Anchovy games coming up next. And last time we saw a game on this here, Ashley, it really came down to navigating that third checkpoint. Rarely does it come down to that, but that third checkpoint, all the action is just so heated because it's right by the opposition spawn.
Right by spawn. I mean, it's the time that you have to capitalize on mistakes is very small. The time you have to push the tower is very small. I mean, basically, you have to play perfectly. Once you start getting to that third checkpoint, it becomes a matter of unforced errors versus the other team's unforced errors. I mean, it's just, someone's going to slip up and you just hope it's not going to be your team.
Arashi gets the splat on the Booyah Bomb, but the Booyah Bomb able to be unleashed just in time to take out Arashi. 3-2 on the map. Supernova here, 9, with 3 specials ready to roll.
And I think they were tired of getting pushed away by the range of the other team. Look at this. They've gone with a Kensa Splatter Shot Pro for extra range, and Zero has switched over to the Nautilus as well. I'm going to be frank, I didn't know this was a weapon that he could pilot at this level, but we talked about wanting to see an Inkjet. There you go, an Inkjet already putting pressure.
Great analysis, Frank. I appreciate it. As we get to our second checkpoint here, Supernova trying to push their way through. Hey, you said I'm going to be frank. Charge, Booyah Bomb coming out once again from Jared. Starburst trying to hang on here. They're facing a huge onslaught, but a double splat by Jared, and that's what you're looking for, Ashley, when you use a special on the defense.
Definitely, and if you're in a position to where you feel like you can pick off a couple of people, obviously take that, and really they have done a great job of making sure that the opposite team there is not, they're just not capitalizing. They are not allowed. They put their what is it, tentacles? They put
Tentacles, yes.
down? Yeah, they put their tentacles down, and they said, no way.
We see Juan being careful about approaching the fan. A lot of territory control now for Starburst. And that's one thing you always have to keep in mind in all these game modes is who's controlling the turf. It's still the basic fundamental of this game as Jared gets splatted. 3-3 on the map. We see Starburst trying to advance. They've yet to get to one checkpoint. And for Supernova, you really like the changes in their lineup here, Nine, as far as their loadouts, giving them a lot more range, as you mentioned, and then giving them a chance to be a little bit more aggressive.
They've got that. They've got a Booyah Bomb that they can throw at the tower. They've got a lot of... I do like the change here, but this is where it gets tricky. Because you see they've been pushed back, and one of them went down. If they can survive this Booyah Bomb and manage to slow down this tower, they should be in an okay position. But for a second there, things looked a little dicey.
4-3, Supernova doing a fine job of hanging on, being on the defensive to push Starburst back. 3-3, just under 2:30 left. No specials ready to go for either team. Jared once again in the middle, trying to avoid that suction bomb. Moves to the right, going to try and beat the heat and hit the fan. Raises up here, throws a little bit of a burst bomb down to the other side. And here comes yet another Booyah Bomb. And here comes Jared as well, too, trying to unleash one. Both teams fighting for control of the tower. It's Starburst at this point, slowly making their way. And Ashley, Starburst, another chance for a push here. But they have finally got a 3-2 advantage, so here's that opportunity.
This could be a good opportunity. I mean, Brand's right there. He's on the tower. This could be a great opportunity for them to really make a push.
Shara hopping into the baller. How about that decision right there, Nine, to hold your positioning?
Yeah, I love it right there, understanding that if he goes down there with his baller, even if he explodes, he's not going to be able to do anything on top of that, trying to maintain his positioning. Jared now getting out-dueled by Arashi. That's huge. If Arashi had gone down there, they wouldn't have had anybody left to hold this spot. At least now Arashi's going to be around to bring up his armor, and that might be the turning point here on the defensive side.
Such a good point. Arashi dancing in between the ink droplets there to get the splat. Huge one-on-one victory as Supernova able to turn back the advance of Starburst. Tower's getting set to move back to the middle. 1 minute left. Starburst continues to hop on it, and actually a lot of aggression from Starburst. Yeah, they don't have the lead, but that tower is living on the side of Supernova.
They're putting the pressure on. This is the time too. There's less than a minute left. They have got to start making pushes, and they are converting. These battles, these fights, they are converting. It's now 4-2 advantage. They're doing exactly what they need to do.
Oh, here comes a Booyah Bomb to go ahead and clear the elevator as the tower continues to move. Supernova trying to hang on to that lead. Starburst trying to recapture it, but no, they're unable to. So Supernova hangs on to a 1-point lead, but Starburst claims it with 20 seconds left. Starburst, they now are trying to get past this final checkpoint. Is it going to be a knockout? And yes, chew on that. Starburst getting the victory at the end at 9. You've always pointed out you just want to consistently push. Yes, that big push is huge, but in tower control, just constantly applying that pressure, eventually that window is going to open for you.
It is going to open, and especially when, I think if we look back to when Arashi got that pick and Zero was there as well, I think that was the moment when they really could have pushed them out. Maybe they were trying to build up a special. They weren't entirely sure how they wanted to attack, but it seemed like in that moment they allowed Starburst to retool and get back up and attack. And you saw there at the end, there were 3 Booyah Bombs fired off in sequential action. And Booyah Bomb is dominant on tower. You know that the opponent's going to come to it. When you're able to fire 3 off like that, it's going to control so much space, and the opponent's not going to have a chance to push you back out.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the updated bracket. Our grand finals are set. It is FT Win facing off against Starburst, 2 squads that swept their way through the semifinals. We'll get set for some best of 7 action here to determine our winner of the Splatoon 2 North American Open September 2020. We're going to take a quick break here first, though. When we return, we'll bring you grand finals action and see if FT Win can close out and add another victory to their resume, or Starburst can have one of the biggest upsets in North American Splatoon competitive history here today. We'll be right back.